Oni jsou dobře, jsou všichni nemocní. Upsík dupsík. Newton někam zmizel. Stává se, že ano. Ale neuro nemám. Na únavu. Mám na únavu? Já nevím, jestli to... Já bych potřeboval na únavu. Ten lék, ale já zase nevím, jaký mám léky, že jo? Já už si to zase nepamatuju. Tady se podívám. Jak jsou na tom tady? Protože tady mi, jestli se napletu, tak je... Kámo, tak tady podle mě všichni... Ne, počkej, to je kde? Tady v dokách, kámo. Tady na mě, podle mě byli všichni úplně strašní zmrdi. Ale strašně se napletu. Třeba tahle, ta na mě byla úplně jako vysazená. Tahle. Ta koksová. Edvina. Úplně brutálně na mě prostě byla vysazená. Takže jakoby... Takže tam bych možná ještě skáknul. Teďka bych chtěl... Jo, dostal jsem nějaký nový zbraně, což je fajn. Obyčejná pistole. Jova pistole. Zásobník 9, 8. Ochromení 5, 7. Tohle je prostě jako celkově jakože lepší, no. Kamo, nechci žádnýho bosíka, vole, já jsem, vole, rád, vole, že teprve teďka pomalu si už doháním ty levely, které jsem měl mít, jakoby já nevím, jako jestli jsem úplně jako ready na bosíka. Jako úplně se nejsem jakože 100% jistý, jestli jsem ready na bosíka. Jakože v tomhle rozpoložení. Fakt jako netuším. Počkej. Jak to tady teda mám? Dobře, takže tady mám... Tohle. Jasně. Jo, takže tady už mám ty 3, jo, dobrý, takže se to ekviplo automaticky. Kámo, já se právě bojím, jakože rovnou, jakože až prostě půjdu hnedka do fightu, tak hnedka tam právě bude boss, proto jako já jsem chtěl udělat takovýhle aspoň trošku upgrade. Dali jsme 4 levely, asi 4,5 levelu jsme hodili nahoru. Takhle jakože bum bum bum, takže ale nevím, jestli to úplně bude stačit. Na to jakože, co jsem chtěl já. Nevím, uvidíme, můžeme se tam zkusit jít podívat, že jo. A prostě uvidíme, prostě buď to bylo dostatečný, anebo furt dostanu na prdel, ale jako strašně moc. Nevím, uvidíme. Jdeme. 280 metrů. Když to vezmu? Tudy, bude to tam nějak projít? Nebo musím jít? Lady. Mě teďka super netrápí. Kudy to bude nejrychlejší asi vzít? No tudy, kdybych to vzal, že jo? Tak já to vezmu asi tam. Já si myslím, že tam je to jenže, ale já se bojím, že jo, jak tam byl totiž minule ten obr, jestli se pamatuješ, tak on byl právě jakoby jeden z těch, ke kterým jakoby mám teďka jít, že ano. A nejsem si jakoby úplně jistý, jestli budu schopnej. Jakože kdyby tam fakt náhodou byl nějaký ten bosík, jestli jako úplně, že budu jakože 23, kámo, už jsou jenom žlutí. Kámo, oni už jsou jenom žlutí, vidíš to, Tome? Počkej, kamo! Počkej, tě chci takhle, asi žrát. Vyskakuj. Net, heal. Ne, kamo, proč neútočíš po mně, vole, proč neútočíte mezi sebou, vole? Já nejsem, vole, tvůj jediný, jakože nepřítel, vole, tady. Tak, sežer ho. Počkej, vole. Jako jsi mi to hodil, jo, na něho, počkej. Kámo, vyser se na to! Super. Jakože furt to asi nestačilo na to, abych byl tak moc OP, ale hlavně se budu muset zase naučit ten bojový systém, že jo? Protože já jsem si totiž řekl, hupsík dupsík bude strašná prdel, když si jakože mezi tím zahraju ještě třeba God of War a budem teďka hrát hodně Far Cry a tohle. Jo, je to strašná švanda, no. Kámo. Prostě trapošící to mikro, jistě. Ty vole, bum, sežrat. Tak, tebe chci. Počkej, kdo tady ještě je? Ten má být tam tenhle ten jeden, ne? A jo, takhle já trefím teďka 3 tímhletím. Aha, tak to je dost good. Počkej, uhni. A neplynuj mě, jo, v klidu, jo, zase bráško. Kamo, ty jsi zajebal, ty jsi kokotko. Tak, sežer ho? Kamo, aha, tam ještě jeden! Tak to je pak ono, vole. Asi teda. A jo, on tady hází nějaký bomby. To je strašný. Pak se to divím, vole, proč mě tady zabíjí všude ten jejich plyn. Prostě, protože on si tady prostě hází bombičky, vole. Super. Miluju to. Tady jsem teda chtěl jít, no jasně. Zmizí aspoň ten bot? Ne, ten bot tady prostě bude do nekonečna ještě dál, super. Tak já ho teda smažu takhle, teďka půjdu rovně. Tady. Tady je to stabilní, ok, to je fajn. To je super slyšet. Kolik jste tady level? 22, kamo vy jste normálně všichni žlutí. WTF. No jakoby... Není to nic rasistického, kdyby náhodou. To je jako, oni jako jejich level jakoby je prostě vážně žlutý. Já za to nemůžu. Ne, kamo! More. Přestaň trapošit. Buď dobré. Bum, bum. Ne. Bum, bum. Aha, Jsi si chtěl aspoň dobít od tebe krev, ale tak nic, no. Myžku, počúvaj, jo, mně to vůbec nepřijde křivkní. Tady nebylo vůbec nic rasistického, vůbec nevím, o čem to mluvíš. Já ani paně máju. Tamhle jsou další brikulové. Kamo, ale se s něma nechci fajtit, můžu to jenom proběhnout, oni jsou strašně otravní tady prostě. Nechte mě bejt, vole, vyserte se na to. Běžte si tam hrát spolu, vole, co je mě po vás. Dejte si tam fakt spolu, já na vás nemám čas. Co to je za animáky? Proč jsou prostě teďka úplně nějaký nový animáci? Kamo, tak to já tu jsem rád, vole, že teďka jdeš po mně, vole. Máš ty, vole, vyloženě tvoje jednoho zlobra a stejně jdeš prostě po mně. To je super. On tě dojebe. Kamo ho dojebe ten obr, pojď. Ukaž mu. Ukaž mu. Dej mu. Dej mu. Zdar, bráško, my jsme felas, nebo ne? Bráško, jsme felas? Bráško. Asi nejsme felas, co? Nebo minimálně jakože nepřišlo mi to od tebe jakože moc teda přátelský, že jsi jakože na mě tak napřahoval. Tak, sežer ho? Jo takhle, jasně no, to má být jakoby imitace takového toho obra, jestli si ho pamatuješ, takového toho bosáka. Dobrý, jedet. Moc se klepeš, kámo, jakoby. Jo, děkuji ti. A jdeme, dubky. Felas, no jako nebyl moc fela. Kámo, mě to fakt nebaví, vole, přestaňte se tady všichni mezi sebou rvát. Prostě najednou prostě život by byl taky krásný, ne? Vy tady, já nevím, třeba jakože nebyly války a takhle. Je to tady jakože přijde, jako, že fakt by to fakt tady bylo o dost normálně hezčí. Hezčí místo ten svět. Tak já to teda celý oběhnu. Asi. Nebo tak něco. Ne, neoběhnu, aha. Tak to prej neoběhnu. Mě to jako nevadí. Nebo oběhnu? Já nevím, já jsem taky spirále emocí, já si úplně nejsem jistý. Jestli mám být šťastný, nebo jestli mám brečet. 29, no jistě. A přesně kvůli těm bastardům jsem se chtěl nalevit ještě víc, chápeš? Kámo, ale přesně kvůli těm borcům jsem to chtěl udělat, vidíš ho? Kámo, já jsem to jakože nechtěl dělat, jo? Oni mě jakože k tomu donutili, fakt. Trust mě. Trustuj mě, kámo, já jsem to prostě nechtěl dělat, hej. Tak, jeden dead. Tak ty už půjdeš líp, ty už jsi jakože jenom 27. Ale nádok, ale pane Kamal, kdybych byl level 16, tak tady vyloženě jakože vypotím duši. To ti prostě můžu říct úplně na rovinu. Kdybych byl jakože jenom level 16. Teďka už je to v pohodě, když už jsem aspoň ten level 20. Tak teďka normálně už se to i dá. Počkej, kdo tady mluví? Tady budou nějací kamarádi noví. Jo, kamarádi jsem chtěl říct, nic jinýho. Všechno to budou moji felas, kterým bych v životě neublížil. Ze všema tady budu úplně největší felák, věř mi. Je důležitý podle mě mi věřit. A s tebou bych se rád seznámil, ty vypadáš, že budeš zajímavý. Ukaž mi svoji pravou podobu, bráško. Plesky. Jak zbláznil ses, jestli chci s tebou jenom popovídat. Nemusíš se vůbec ničeho bát, že ano? Kámo, počkej, ale jako, jak se mám tím dostat? Teď ten nemůžu nic zaklepat nebo něco? Ukažte se v klubu, super, já rád bych se tam ukázal. Ne, není tady nikdo, vole, já jenom bych se jako rád vám jenom jako vloupal do domu. To je jako tak nějaký jediný. Kámo, ale je to 60 metrů, jak se to mám dostat? A jo, to není tady, ok, tak nic. Nevermind, kdybych nic neřekl. Tak půjdu teda ještě o dům dál. Pomocte mi kdokoliv. Kámo, nemůžu ti pomoct, když mě nepustíš jakože k sobě domů. Pak si ti jakože pomáhá docela na hovno. Ne. To vyznělo hůř, než jsem zase chtěl, že jo. Ale to nemělo jakože být tak, jakože prostě... Vyznělo to určitě jenom hůř, jakoby než jsem chtěl, chápeš? Já mám vyser se na to. Kámo, ty prostě musíš zautočit úplně ve stejnou chvíli jak já, co? Prostě si vyloženě musel. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. Chceš hrát? Takhle jo, ber to takhle jo, ty mě znáš jakoby dost dlouho si myslím, ty prostě víš jakoby, že já jsem prostě dobrá duše. Že ano. Tak. Tady prostě dobrá duše Alda takzvaně. To bych se jakoby vůbec nebal, že jo. Je tady, tady budou felas, ahoj felas. Zdarec bráchšec.
Good evening, sir. Please forgive me for disturbing you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathana Reida.
Welcome, Dr. Reid. Welcome to my humble shop.
OK, tohle bude felák. Ukáž mi, jak seš na... Ne, dobře, tomu bych nic neudělal, VTF, samozřejmě, že ne. To, co mě máš, to bylo jakože vtípy. To má ani tím paní bych nic neudělal. Fakt nevím, jako to, co mě máš.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
Are you that blind? I've seen hundreds of victims piled up in this city each week.
Mr. Reid, please. Why are you so angry? I did not mean anything by it.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
Mně se to prostě tak líbí, jak vyloženě tady prostě všichni umírají, všichni jsou úplně v hajzlu a tohle, a kam tady prostě je vyloženě jeden zbohatlík s monoklem a prostě, kámo, miluju dobré restauraci, jestli nějakou znáš, dej mi echo, dík.
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.
To mě normálně zajímá. Máš tady konečně to, co dobrá součást. Kam to je to, co potřebuju, ne? Myslím, že to je to, co potřebuju. Kam bych potřeboval ještě jednu? Sakra. Já bych potřeboval ještě jednu. Škoda. Tak nic, no. Ale tady jsme se aspoň popovídali s pánem. Calhoun Russell. Kdo jsi zase ty?
Good evening, sir. May I have your attention, please?
Come on, Johnny. Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
I know what you mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny, I didn't want to sound selfish.
What is this new battle?
I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
Kam ti proradní kýři jsou všude, taky tomu nerozumím normálně. Taky bych jim dal co proto, neboj.
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other. And so many things have happened.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Co to kurva, what the fuck? Ale tak dobře, no, jako, já to teda úplně jako neznám, že ano, protože já jsem vidlácký debílek celou dobu, takže jakoby, no to asi jinak, ale tohle to je, kámoš pana Reida, tomu bych asi neměl jakože nic udělat, že ano, Nemilé. A kdo ještě tohle? Kdo pak si, ženo, povídej.
Good evening, miss.
Oh my God, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte. What do you think about this part of town?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yes, I was born a few streets away.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
Is there something that's bothering you?
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
What are you doing out here?
You mean, what do I do outside at night, since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time. Even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see? And one day, I'll have my death to face.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she manages in the West End. When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16, though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
What exactly has your mother told you about me?
Your name and profession, obviously, and the mystery about your maker. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reid? Or you?
Perhaps it's wise for a mortal never to totally trust a vampire. Your mother herself told me that we Ekon are creatures of deception. Maybe it's because we seem so alive.
That may be true for a naive girl, but I have the best teacher when it comes to getting rid of an insistent immortal.
Your mother is not like any other vampire I've met.
I believe she thinks the same about you, Dr. Reid.
Do you know why Lady Ashbury chose you to become her daughter?
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How is it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
To je samozřejmě dost dobrá otázka, ale už jsem konečně vyplýtval úplně všechno. Úplně všechny možnosti už jsem konečně vyplýtval, jakoby. Ale tohle je jediná osoba, kterou prostě vím 100%. Tohle a Swansea, který prostě vyloženě nemůžu zajebat. Protože kdybych to udělal, tak ta paní Ashburyová mě zajebe taky, takže... Kdo seš? Jak to, že tě znám? Nevím, je to divný, ale tak už bych se mohl konečně potkat s těma, kvůli kterým tady celou dobu jsem, že ano. Zdarec spárit. Loading levels, loading levels, loading levels, loading levels. Jinak jak si pak užíváš dialogy? Povídej mi, Žogu.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathana Reida.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reid. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
OK, hezké je to místo, že ano? Já si zrovna myslím, že tohle toho bych nedal, jako by, kdybych chtěl, že ano? Tady hromada zajímavých osob. Dík. Když to tady vykradu. No, tak to určitě tady prostě vypadá. Že jsou zbohatlíci, že ano? Jako ale samý zbohatlíci to tady vypadá prostě. Jste tady, pane? Kuk. Dělám na něho kuk.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reid. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Here, here, here.
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reid. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reid.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yes, she is. I may even say I admire her probity and her kindness. She has helped me since I was reborn.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is immortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of this skull plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Guard of Priwen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End. Is that it?
Straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reid, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reid. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reid, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall. Speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reid. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
Super, právě teďka jsem členem kultu. Finally! Kult! Je tady hodně lordů. A fakt jakože hodně lordů. A kdo pak si ty? Můžeš si toho promluvit? Můžu.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece? Figuratively.
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reid.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reid, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson? Of Dawson and Dawson? The wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil
that has us all on our knees.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reid.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods, but brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
By doing so, you would create two separate ghettos. What if the disease gets past the wall? The results would be disastrous.
Not if we eliminate all suspected cases of infection as soon as they appear. A necessary sacrifice.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.
Dobře, no, tak přesně s tímhletím borcem se asi úplně neshodnem. Co si budem, z toho co jsem vypočul, tak se asi úplně neshodnem, no.
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago. Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
You were spying on me?
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod. All muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed. Ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied skulls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reid, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Priwen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the skulls.
I have met peaceful and wise skulls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Skulls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reid. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
OK. K dispozici nový občan... Co? A jo, já mám 4. Protože jsem ve 4. kapitol. No jistě. A jo, takže podle teda těch kapitol ty vlastně jakoby získáváš... Ty se místních, je to teda nějaká... OK, ale ty vlastně jakoby získáváš, jakože podle toho, že v jaký kapitole seš, tak podle toho vlastně, že jakoby, že dostáváš ty a tak. Chápeš? Chápeš prostě, co tím chci říct, že ano. Prostě ty tím dostáváš jakoby ty levely, koho všechno můžeš sežrat. Takže třeba tohle to bych sežral. Asi nemůžu, no, hupsík. Nevadí. Dostal jsem aspoň nějaký zkušenosti, protože kdybych je dostal, mohl by tam padnout nějaký další upgrade a pak z toho by mohlo vyjít něco úplně krásného. Dostal jsem na 800, OK. OK. Poptejte se místních na nákazu.
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
OK, to je zajímavý. Asi díky, že to vím. Dobrý. Teďka bych potřeboval ještě tady tohleto se ptát, poptejte se. Jo, dobrý, furt se mám jenom ptát, dobře, tak já se teda jdu zase jenom ptát.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand?
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye, Mr. Rupp.
OK. Co k druhému... Jo, takhle, takže teďka si můžu vybrat, kam budem. Tak já bych šel třeba tam někam. Jo, tady to bylo. Let's go, jdeme se podívat po nějakých bubácích, ne bubácích, upírech. Bubáce super, nejsou jako nejpřesnější název pro upíry, no. Nebo pro ekony přesněji. Že on abych nikoho náhodou neurazil. 30 metrů a nahoru. Takže to bude v nějakém domě. Tady? Ne. Aha, super, takže tam jako, takže se teda jsem šel špatně, tak já se vrátím a tady někam doleva. Tady? OK.
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here? I need to find out what they're after.
To mě taky zajímalo, že po čem jdou. Zdere z Brašec. Co se děje, bráško? Problémek? Tak strašný tohle. Kamo, nech mě. Kamo, ser na to. Mori! Jsi mě sekl do té barikády. Kamo, já nevím, vole, co se na to, já nevím, třeba vysrat. Co vy na to, boys? Heal. Kamo, ale zatím tady jsou jakoby jenom level 28, že jo? Kamo, já bych tě chtěl jako strašně rád sežrat, hej? Jakoby fakt sorry, ale jako rád bych. Co? Vždyť jsem měl dost, ne, HPek, WTF, co se právě teďka stalo? Jakoby tak jsem asi neměl dost HPek, ale já jsem si teda, jako byl jsem o tom přesvědčen. Kolik jsem měl HPek? Já jsem normálně byl prostě přesvědčený, že mám furt dost HPek, že se prostě nemusím stresovat. Pak jsem normálně o tom prostě byl úplně přesvědčený. Hupsík dupsík. OK. Tak tady jenom teda pararan, takzvaně. Ne, počkej, co je? Bum, bum. Jsi na Pinokio, vole, nebo co jako? Bum, bum. Tak sežrat. Trošku se to doplním. Ok, jeden rychlej heal. Bum. A jedna, pojď. Děkuji ti, pane doktor. Hej, kamo, kolik mi to dává, ten jejich oheň? Jebetí? Kolik mi dal ten jejich oheň? Viděl jsi to? Kamo, tak to není, že já bych měl málo hápek. To je prostě to, že mi to prostě ubírám strašný damage. To je ten problém. Bum. Takhle. Bum. Ne, kamo! Kamo, přestaň tohleto používat, vole. Fakt už mě s tím, vole, začínáš pěkně srát. Tak, zdrhej. Kamo, jebetí! Byl jsem úplně mimo. Ale úplně. Vy se... Kamo, proč mě tam to prostě trefilo? Vyloženě jsem byl úplně mimo. Ale úplně. Prostě a mě to stejně, jak mě to trefí, já tomu nerozumím. Já prostě nerozumím, jak to tady vůbec funguje, jako, ale fakt jako vůbec netuším, jak to tady funguje. Víš co, já to se... Nebo já tam nechci jít, já jsem se nějak rozhodl, že to je nějak ztráta času prostě. Jsem tam nějak nechtěl jít. Já jsem chtěl jít k tomu předtím bodu, že ano. Ne. Teda jakoby... Snad to tebe nikdo nevystřihne. Já to ukončím prostě, tady je to zase zamčený. No ježiše, jak se tam dostanu? To je zamčený, takže se tam dostanu. Aha, takže to musím celý oběhnout, super. Miluji to. Tak skvělá hra. Úplně dál. Ne, dobrý, tak pro dnešek to bylo všechno.